Today's video was two reasons. I'm posting for two reasons, or because of two things that happened this week. I saw a post about pulmonary fibrosis, and the person was talking about how there needs to be awareness about the signs, because by the time people get diagnosed, it's too late. Apparently there's treatment. All I know is when I last saw the pulmonologist, he told me that we will intervene, I assume with oxygen, when I can no longer walk and talk, or when I can no longer sing. That's when we'll intervene. And you can't reverse the lung damage. So that's something I don't even want to imagine. And so that was the one reason, awareness. And secondly, I was just reminded about the lung situation. Not that I can't forget. I can't forget. I honestly can't forget. When I'm lying down, especially when I'm lying down flat, there's just this feeling of lack of air, less air. But anyway, yeah. And it was an SMS from the medical center where I go, where my GP is. And they were telling us that the specific doctor, Vivian Parents, is retiring. Now, she is the doctor I saw when I decided to stop seeing GPs. She's a GP, and look elsewhere for help. So just for the sake of reminding the old folk and for anyone who's just coming across this, I had been awareness. So let me talk about awareness. When I'll mention the things I went through, and these are the norm. So like, when you're doing awareness for AS, you talk about lower back pain that lasts longer than 3 months. That's part of the sign. So I had lower back pain that lasted longer than 3 months. So that is I'm not going to sit and list, do this. I'll just speak. For years, maybe 2 years, my doctors, GPs, thought I had asthma. I tried 3 different asthma pumps over the different months because my chest wasn't improving. So asthma, crackling, wheezing, especially when lying down, wheezing, breathlessness, not being able to get over chest infections quickly, or for your chest to not recover quickly from chest infections when they've settled in there. That's another one, and that's one I kept having. I have been complaining that I don't understand why when we all get sick, my chest is the worst of them all, and I cough the most. I feel like I'm gonna die the most. I can't breathe. I wheeze. Like, as my husband said, he literally couldn't sleep because he thought I was taking my last breath with each rattle or gasp. So it really is like you're dying, like your lungs are just not working. I can't describe the feeling. I can describe the rattles, like rattle, crackle. So those are the things that I had that were going on. And so again, I had a chest infection last year, and a cough. That's another one, a dry cough. It wasn't really productive, and that was the weird thing. I had a chest infection, but it wasn't producing anything. That's when I realized, I found out that we were conflating two different issues, and it was a godsend in a way. So I've actually got I've got chronic sinusitis, and it was causing the cough, but then the cough sound is because of my lungs and how they are. So thanks to the sinusitis, which was causing my cough, and then the sound was wrong. You see, the sound of your cough says a lot too. So the GP said, but you cough, you sound like you've got chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, some kind of like emphysema, which I don't have I don't have that. So I went to I looked up lung specialist, where she was saying, let's do another set of antibiotics, but there was no infection. She did chest x-rays. That's the other thing. Chest x-rays will generally show nothing. So, but there's something. And the other thing is, the other sign of pulmonary fibrosis or interstitial lung disease, etc., anything, around those diseases, is the GP couldn't hear any sound in my lung. And that was a bit alarming. It was. So I said, okay, I'm not going to see a GP anymore. I'm not going to keep taking antibiotics. Let me find a specialist. I looked up lung specialist and boom, they're called pulmonologists. So I found a pulmonologist, and as you know from some of the other videos, my lung function was not perfect. The volume of air I could take in, or the volume of air I can take in, doesn't match the lungs I have, the size of my lungs. I'm not taking in as much air. I'm not taking in as much air as I should be. So that was what my lung function test showed. Tests, it's a variety of different tests. That's what it showed that time. We went to do a scan, but then due to finances, I couldn't. My medical aid funds had already run out in February, at the beginning of January, and they'd already run out February 10th, so I couldn't, they weren't going to pay, and I had my operations, those co-payments to pay for. So I couldn't do the lung function, I couldn't do the CT scan last year. So that is what brings us to this year. I did the CT scan this year, and long story short, oh no, I went for my pulmonary tests, my lung function tests, and I can't diffuse as much in my lungs. It's like my lungs are not spreading out as much air either. So it's, the amount is reduced, not too much. It's not obviously it's not too reduced, because here I am talking to you, but it's also not spreading out, diffusing. The air coming in is not going everywhere that it could go, even in that reduced capacity. So that was a bit of a for the doctor, and that's when he said, I wish we could do a CT scan. So I said, let's do it. I can this time. Long story short, he said there are localized areas around my chest, both lungs, where there are issues. He has updated my GP, primary care physician, and my rheumatologist. And my I looked at my medical aid records of what they found of my lung CT scan, and it's interstitial pulmonary disease, which is interstitial lung disease, basically spread out lung disease, and fibrosis. So those are the issues I've got at the moment. And I wouldn't have known if I had not thought, forget this. GP, she's a nice lady. She was trying her best. She knew there was something wrong, and she did set the alarm bells ringing. But yeah, those are the signs. Crackles, where instead of air coming through in, because my lungs are stiffened. They're not taking in much air. The air not spreading out as it should in my lungs. And the doctor said we will have to do another CT scan and another test. Obviously, it's chronic. It's for life. I have a disease, and it is terminal. I have a terminal lung disease. So he said I must let him know if my lung function seems to, if I feel like my lungs are not working before my next review, so that I can go and get another CT scan sooner rather than later. And I think that was the part that scared me, because all along he was thinking, yeah, I'll see you in a year, definitely not more than a year, but definitely in a year. But then when he did the scan, he's like, okay, you might need to come sooner. You need to tell me. So that's where we are. And you people know I'm not an alarmist. My friends know. Like, I've had this pain in my chest for 2 days now. My sternum is sore. I don't know what that is. But anyway, my people know that I tend to underplay my worries, and I go when it's too late. All my surgeons say so. I go when damage is bad. So yeah, that's where I am. I'm hoping things will not get bad fast, but I find it interesting that I tended to brush things away. I would be walking up a hill. This is another sign. I'm walking uphill, and my husband says, oh my word, listen to how out of breath you are. You can't breathe. Let's just go home. I feel I'm fine. I'm crazy. So yes, if you cannot walk uphill and breathe properly, you might have pulmonary fibrosis, you might have interstitial lung disease, you might have a disease and you need to please go and see a pulmonologist sooner rather than later, so you know where you are and you can get the correct guidance. This is life and death. Thank you.